Hello students, good evening to all of you and welcome to a kind of special examination support session that is being conducted by both Infinity as well as from your very own Big Four, right? The Facebook group and the Facebook page. So students, this session I think is a session which was coming because of number of student requests, because students were asking to have a kind of a session. They were asking for a series of sessions for examination support. These students we conducted somewhere in the COVID period for our students, which was highly accepted among the students. And during COVID period, we have conducted many programs like this because we also had time during that time since we were locked down at home. And also students, this time also, because there were a number of concerns in terms of our students because of one thing, the expectation of the examiner was something that was there, and the kind of preparation of our students because of certain times students were misguided. Sometimes the answers that our students were writing were not that up to the examiner's expectations. So there was this kind of a gap, which is to be filled by this particular program. Students, hopefully today we will be touching upon two of the areas where students are finding it really challenging to answer, and sometimes students do not score much, right? And if we have time towards the exam with Infinity as well as with Big Four, we will be planning out another session to support you on another kind of selected topics. So students, today we have to be really thankful for both the teams from Infinity as well as from the Big Four for providing this opportunity for the students, because both these people, these teams are doing this as a kind of a student support, a CSR activity. Both these teams are doing it for that purpose, because they have identified the requirement, they have identified the gap in the expectations between the examiner and the students. So the fulfilling of that gap. Okay, students, so what we are going to discuss today in this particular session. Students, when we went through post-examiner's comments with regard to the examination, your CL1, Advanced Audit and Assurance, when we discuss with the examiner your areas that the students were somewhat finding challenging and that which mostly resulting in students repeating the exam. Two of the main areas that the examiner always speaks us is that one is the assurance engagements, assurance and related services, and the other one is the quality management. Assurance and related services as well as quality management were the two of the kind of challenging areas for our students when they are writing down answers. So students, today in this session, what I am going to do, I will be taking one or two questions from those areas from the recent past papers, and with the relevant theory, I will show you how to develop the answer. Because students, if you write down a proper answer for these two areas, right, quality management as well as assurance and related services, students, you can gain approximately 20 marks without any problem. Okay, approximately 20 marks you can gain if you answer these areas properly. So that help we are giving you, assurance and related services and quality management. And in the meantime, students, these two teams, right, Infinity as well as Big Four, they have opened up the chat box. So chat box is available. So you can put down your questions in the chat box. Anything, we can help you out as well. Okay. So the other point, students, I will tell you certain areas that the examiner is telling you to focus on. Where are students the common weaknesses? Before I move on to this area, students, examiner always tells you to write down according to the action verb that the examiner is asking. Students, many of us are not writing down our answer according to the action verb. Sometimes people who are repeating this exam, right? You would have seen last few attempts, there was number of students who were repeating the exam. Students, if you ask from a student who is repeating and if you speak to yourself and think, Ade, I have written down a proper answer, no? Right? Mama, honda answer ka liwane. I wrote one interesting answer. Me parna hondatama liwa. I have written the best answer in my life. But still I got somewhere around 35 to 38 marks. That's because of what? Students, you have the knowledge. You know how to write down the answer. But your answer do not fit into the action verbs. That's the main weakness that I see. So remember, this time you have more time, right, to the exam, because students still approximately 30-40 days are available. So that's quite a huge number of time. So write down your answers according to the action verb. When I go through today's question, I will show you what's the action verb and how to answer. Students, when the examiner asks you to state something, yes, in summary form, just write down, state it. When the examiner asks you to outline something, just take it from the examination question and just outline it. When the examiner asks you to discuss in detail, discuss. Advantages, disadvantages, this and that, discuss. When the examiner asks you to evaluate, examiner asks you to analyze, different things you got to do. So, point number 1, writing answer according to the action verb. My dear students, write down, very important, your answers according to the action verb. If not, there is no thinking of passing the exam. Mark my words, huh? I'm so open, I'm so blunt here. Answers has to be according to the action verb. That's when you get the marks. Number 1. That's one of the common student pitfall that the examiner has identified. Okay, that is the first thing. Number 2, second one, the examiner says, sometimes most of you just copy and paste things from the question paper into the answer. You take things from the question paper and just write it down in the answer. Don't do that as well. Eka karannat epa lamai. Question paper ge thiyena prashna hemmama liyanawa. Examiner don't know it, need that, right? So don't waste your time in writing down the question in the answer script itself. So that's the common second mistake. Without your knowledge, you do it. Wa hitanna nathuwa ek karanna lamai, right? Without your knowledge, you do that. You do it. Where you write down parts of the question as it is in your answer script. Don't do it. Action verb, don't repeat the question in the answer script, please. Number 2. The third one, that the common mistake that our students are doing is, students, writing down very general answers, right? Sometimes our students' answers are quite general, lamai. Answers are general. What is general means? Let's say you just directly elaborate something from the standard and then just write down what you have learned in the standard. Yes, things has to be taken from the particular standard, but students, it has to be tailor-made to the given situation. Standard එකෙන් ගන්න. හැබැයි tailor-made කරන්න අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රශ්නෙට. That's the third thing that you got to do. These 3 common pitfalls, these 3 common mistakes, our students has to just take it out from the mind, right? So remember those 3 action verbs, never repeating the question as it is. Third one, don't write general answers. Answer has to be fit into the given question. When the examiner is asking for an audit procedure, don't just write the audit procedure that you have done katapadam. Katapadam karapu audit procedure nikan denna epa lamai. Tailor-made the audit procedure to the given assertion. Based on the assertion, develop the audit procedure. Do that. Assertion එක base කරලා audit procedure එක හදන්න. That you go to. That's why students, you are doing corporate level, right? Otherwise you will be doing business level, no? Corporate level requires a finance manager type of knowledge. That's quite bit of advanced knowledge. That's quite important, right? Great. Students, assurance and other services. Why this area is that much important? ඇයි මේ area එක මෙච්චර important වෙන්නේ? assurance and other services. What's the reason, Lamai? Students, this area garner about 10 marks in your paper. 10 marks. Assurance and other related services. We all know our audit firms are not limited to providing audit services. Yes, we do audits. We are specialized in audits, right? We do audits to the maximum. But students, audit firms are doing much more wider scope of work other than audit. Audit කරනවා තමයි. Audit එකට අමතරව ළමයි අපි වෙන වැඩක් කරනවා. Assurance services we do. Assurance services. So, assurance අමතරවත් තව service කරනවා. Non-assurance services also we do. So, examiner's typical question here, students, is යහන ප්‍රශ්නේ මේකෙදී this comes to around 10 marks, right? ලකුණු 10කට විතර 10 marks, sometimes 8 marks. The question will be, identify the type of engagement that you can perform in this given scenario. මේ දීපු scenario එකට ඔයා දෙන engagement එක මොකක්ද? What's the type of engagement that you are going to do? That's the question that the examiner mostly commonly asks. Or else he will be asking, what is the type of report you are going to provide? What kind of characteristics of the report that you are going to provide? Those two will be the most common questions that the examiner will ask. Or he will again ask what sort of procedures you are going to do in the given level of engagement. Or else what is the level of assurance you are going to provide? මොකක්ද දෙන assurance එක ඔයා? ඔන්න ඔයගේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි ළමයි ඔයාට commonly අහන්නේ. He is commonly asking those type of questions. So over the past few attempts, his questions were like that. මේ පහුගිය attempts වල එයාගේ question එක ඒ වගේ. What is the type of engagement that you are doing? කරන engagement එක මොකක්ද? What is the level of assurance we are providing in that? And then students, what are the procedures you are going to do? What sort of report you are going to provide in these kind of scenarios? Students, so here, this area, hopefully you all can see my screen. This area is relevant to, hope my screen is all clear to you, right? Yes, screen is clear. This area tests several standards from you. මේ area එකේ ළමයි standards ගණනාවක් test කරනවා. Review of financial statements, the basic SLSRE 2400. Review of financial statements. We will discuss one by one, right? And also review of interim financial statements performed by independent audit of the entity. Review of interim accounts, maybe quarterly accounts, monthly accounts, semi-annual accounts. Review of interim accounts. Then agreed upon procedures 4400. Revised standard. Examiner will be testing agreed upon procedure as well. Assurance engagements, SLSAE 3000. Those attestation engagement, direct engagements. Assurance reports on compiled performer financial information, 3420. Assurance reports on service organizations. Compilation engagements. Reporting on prospective financial information like projections, forecast type of, and value for money audits, things like that. So these type of assignments, these type of services, the auditor provides, which are sometimes assurance, sometimes non-assurance services. Okay, so then question එක මතකයිනේ. මෙයා අහන ප්‍රශ්නේ මොනවා වගේද ළමයි? What sort of a question that the examiner is asking? He is asking, he will give you a scenario. Based on that given scenario, what is the level of assurance you are going to provide? Or based on the given scenario, what is the type of engagement you are going to do? On the prashni. That will be the question. What is the type of engagement? What is the type of assurance that you are going to provide? These two, right? Okay. Ema dennakotta lamai, you got to be well skillful to understand what is assurance and what is not assurance. ඔයා ළමයි smart enough වෙන්න ඕන assurance කියන්නේ මොකද්ද non assurance කියන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා පට් ගාලා pick කරන්න. To pick it quickly. Okay, remember that to do all these you have only 3 hours, right? මේ ඔක්කොම කරගන්න ඔයාලට තියෙන පැය 3යි. And also 15 minutes reading time. For reading time we have a different approach, no? Many people know who are associated with me we are strategizing the reading time in a different manner. අපි reading time එක වෙනම විදිහකට තමයි strategy කරන්නේ. Right. So students, when the examiner's question is like that, we need to see given scenario whether it is assurance or not. Right? මෙතන අපෙන් assurance ඉල්ලනවද? Are they expecting assurance from us or not? Are they expecting assurance from us or not? Assurance ඉල්ලනවද නැද්ද? Students, what is assurance? Think for yourself. Assurance කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Just go to your drawing board. Put a drawing board එකට යන්න බලන්න. What's assurance? Just go to the drawing board and see. Think, what is assurance? Drawing board එකට ගිහිල්ලාමයි assurance කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා පොඩි නිකන් හිතන්න බලන්න. Think, what is assurance? What is assurance then? Assurance කියන්නේ ළම වෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක්. ඔයා බය වෙන්න එපා මම ඔයා ගැන බලා ගන්න. ඒ වගේ කේස් එකක් ළම assurance කියන්නේ. Right? Providing some sort of some level of comfort to someone else, no? Assurance means you are providing some level of comfort to someone. Giving a level of comfort. Podi ara satisfaction එකක්. Level of comfort given to someone. So how do you give that comfort? Comfort is given when tri-parties are involved. Because why? Hey, I am not sure about what he has done. Please, can you evaluate it and give me a level of assurance? But about comfort එකක් දෙන්නකො. Third party, independent party is providing this assurance. So if you take a simple audit engagement, audit එකක්, statutory annual audit, where we external auditors are providing assurance, what will happen? Tri-party relationship is there. One independent party who is outside the company, who is outside from the management, independent from the management, evaluate a subject matter, evaluate a particular matter against a criteria, and he provides assurance to the other party. Hey, these financial statements are prepared in accordance with Sri Lanka accounting standards, free from material misstatements. මේ financial statements accounting standards අනුව තමයි හදලා තියෙන්නේ. So material misstatements නැහැ. Someone else outside providing that assurance, so the shareholders are satisfied. They get the comfort. They are satisfied and they are getting the comfort. Assurance කියන්නේ ඒක. That's assurance. You get my point, right? Assurance කියන්නේ පොඩි comfort එකක් ඔළුවට එනවා. මේක නියමයි. Right? මේගොල්ලෝ වැඩේ හරියට කළා නේ. Getting that comfort. So that comfort is the assurance. So when the examiner asks you that question, that deadly question, dreaded question, where on average මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවද ලකුණු කීයක් වගේ ගන්නවද කියලා? On average our students marks hovering around out of 10, 2 or 3. On average. On average 2 to 3 marks. For a 10 marks question, getting 2 to 3 marks students, will anyone be able to pass? That's the problem. So somewhere there is a problem, right? Either you are misguided, either you are not doing it properly, either you are not understanding the concepts properly. That's the problem. So assurance, when the examiner asks you to determine whether you can provide assurance or not, you got to put the examiner's information into the assurance framework. Examiner ගේ information ටික ළමයි මෙන්න මේ assurance framework එක ඇතුළට දාන්න ඕන. You got to put examiner's information into this assurance framework. What is assurance framework? Good old Crest. Crest. Crest කියන්නේ ළමයි good old Crest. First and foremost students, for you to provide an assurance on something, there has to be a criteria against which you are evaluating the subject matter. Say in audit we say no, we are providing assurance. Audit එකේ ළමයි අපි assurance දෙනවා කියලා අපි කියනවනේ. We say that in audit we are giving, external auditors are giving assurance. So how do we provide assurance? We evaluate the financial statements against Sri Lanka accounting standards. So there is a criteria against which we evaluate the financial statements. Or else internal controls are evaluated against what? Internal controls evaluated against maybe course of framework, or maybe integrated report, annual report. Annual report, integrated report, annual report will be evaluated against IIRC, International Integrated Reporting Council framework. So for you to provide assurance on any case, there has to be a particular criteria against which subject matter will be evaluated. So in the given examiner's question, right? While I'm saying, you guys have to write. For you to express assurance, there has to be a criteria. Assurance then criteria. Remember that. For you to express assurance, for you to provide assurance, there has to be a particular criteria against which you have to evaluate. When the examiner gives you the question, see whether there is a particular criteria against which you have to evaluate the subject matter. Criteria tibunot, one hurdle penna, right? There is a particular criteria. This has to be criteria, right? C means criteria. Crest again. Then examiner, in the given information, the user should request a report from us. Report request karana tona Crest. CR. R report. They are requesting an assurance report from us. Assurance report report. Then evidence based on which assurance is provided. Evidence because without evidence, students, we can't provide a judgment. Evidence judgment then CRE. Then there has to be a particular subject matter we are evaluating. Maybe financial statements that are subjected to the audit, or maybe internal controls that are subjected to the evaluation, or maybe annual report that is subjected to the evaluation. Subject matter. And the other most important thing, for you to express assurance, there has to be tripartite relationship. Assurance then for you to express assurance, for the engagement, tri-party innona party tunak innona party tunak නැතුව ළමයි මේ වැඩේ කරන්න බෑ. Remember, so when you are reading the information, try to identify whether there are three parties available. Information කියවද්දි three party ඉන්නවද කියලා බලන්න. Right? See whether there are three parties involved. Tri-party where someone is there independently as a practitioner providing assurance. Practitioner. There has to be someone who is providing assurance, independent party. Someone should be there who is responsible for preparation of the subject matter. Management, financial statements, responsible party. Then someone has to be there who is using the assurance report, the user. Remember that. ඔය tri-party එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන ළමයි. So ඔය set වෙන්නේ නැත්තම්, if Crest is not fulfilled, Crest fulfilled නැත්තම්, if it is not fulfilled, you are unable to provide assurance. Assurance දෙන්න බෑ. Remember that. එච්චරයි කතාව. Simple as that, right? දැන් ගොඩක් දේවල් ළමයි. Don't try to make it complex, huh? දැන් අපේ life එකෙත් එහෙමනේ. Our life is also like that, no? Sometimes some students are calling me and say, sir, මාර වැඩේ why? වයස යනවා sir. මේ CA complete කරගන්නත් ටිකක් delay sir. බය වෙන්න එපා. Right? I know, don't worry. I know CAs, chartered accountants who are unfortunately qualified but passed away at early ages. Right? ඉක්මනට qualify වෙලා සමහරලාට අඩු වයසෙන් නැති වෙලත් යන කට්ටිය මම දැකලා තියෙනවා. Life is like that. ඒකන්ද කොයි වෙලාව rush කරන්න යන්න එපා ළමයි, right? සමහරලාට ඔයාගේ වෙලාව වෙනකන් ඔයාට ඉන්න වෙනවා. You have to wait until you have to pass. That's why we are also supporting you to pass. ඒකන්ද කොයි වෙලාවක rush කරන්න යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. Simple එකේ වැඩේ කරගන්න. Right? Get your stuff done in a quick, simple manner. Quickly, simple විදිහට වැඩේ කරගමු. So remember, so how do you determine whether you can provide assurance or not? Assurance දෙන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද කියලා කොහොමද අපි determine කරන්නේ? How you are going to determine? Whether the things are falling into Crest framework. Crest එකට වැටුනොත් විතරයි, if it is falling into Crest only, you can provide assurance. If not, you are unable to provide assurance. So there has to be a criteria on which subject matter evaluated, report is expected from the practitioner, then evidence has to be gathered, then there has to be a particular subject matter which is subjected to assurance, then there are got to be some tri-party relationship. Parties තුනක් ඉන්නත් ඕන. Tri-party relationship. Without tri-party relationship, no assurance given. Right. Understood? So far any question? මොනවාට ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? Okay. තිබුණත් තාන්න නැහැ. Right. එහෙනම් ප්‍රශ්න තිබුණත් අපි ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ වගේ ඉන්නේ. Right. Right. Good. මේක ටිකක් පැහැදිලි නැතිව ඇති. ටිකක් letters, but I will read it, right? I will read it out for you. Give me a moment, students. So, based on this, make a matter, there are several types of engagements that the practitioner is performing. Audit practitioner performing several types of engagements. First and foremost, we are providing assurance engagements, where we are providing that level of comfort. We are expressing assurance on certain engagements. And on certain engagements, we don't express assurance. Assurance දෙන ඒවා තියෙනවා, assurance දෙන්නේ නැති ඒවා තියෙනවා. Where we are providing assurance. Assurance දෙන්නේ කොයිද? Students, assurance also you have to remember, audit practitioners are unable to express perfect absolute assurance. We are unable to express 100% perfect absolute assurance. කිසිම දෙයක් ගැන perfect 100% assurance දෙන්න බෑනේ ළමයි. In an audit also, we are providing which kind of assurance? Not an absolute assurance, it's what? High level of reasonable assurance we are providing. And also students, we are providing limited assurance as well. මෙන්න කතාව සමහරට පැහැදිලි මදි. I will recite, right? I will read it out for you. Assurance we provide on historical financial information and on other information as well. We express assurance on historical financial information and on other information. Students, on previous historical financial information, we provide two levels of assurance, right? So if some information in the examination question fits into assurance, or a tri-part relationship, criteria, report, evidence, subject matter, ඔය ටික set වෙලා, if all gets set, right? Examiner asks us to provide assurance. Assurance දෙන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි on historical financial statements, two levels. First one, reasonable, high level of assurance, but not absolute assurance. Reasonable, high level of assurance. What's that? Reasonable, high level of assurance. What's that? Take audit. Audit එකක් ගන්නකො. මොනවද අපි නොකරන්නේ audit එකේ නේ? We do everything at audit no. We first of all students client acceptance, then students independence evaluation, then entering into engagement letter, risk assessment, then audit planning, evidence collection, finalization, quality control, students review, reporting, subsequent event evaluation. You do all sorts of stuff. ඔයාලා මේ ඔක්කොම කරනවානේ in audit. So audit is where we do lot of procedures, because since we do lot of procedures students, we can bring down the audit risk. Procedures ගොඩාක් කරාට පස්සේ ළමයි අපිට audit risk එක අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන්. If we can reduce our audit risk, we can provide a high level of assurance. ඔය relationship එක මතක තියාගන්න, we do discuss this in theory class. Theory class එක මේ ටික කතා කරනවා නේ. So at a time when we do lot of procedures, procedure ගොඩාක් කරලා, we do lot of procedures. Since we do lot of procedures, what will happen? Risk will be reduced. So higher level of assurance we can provide. So that's when reasonable assurance which we provide in an audit. So in an examination question, හොඳට අහගන්න. දැන් මේක ළමයි අපි මේ audit එකට PhD එකක් ගන්න කරන වැඩක් නෙමෙයිනේ. කොහොම හරි exam pass වෙන්න මේ කරන්නේ. හරිද? පොඩ්ඩක් හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න දැන් මේ කියන එක. Right? In a particular exam question, we have to be open up, no? Right? කොහොම හරි මේ ගොඩ යන්න කරන වැඩක්නේ. Okay. In a particular question, if the examiner asks from you, he says, auditor is expected to do client acceptance, evidence gathering, planning, all sorts of work, right? Reporting. Then you got to know, lot of procedures are done. So therefore, high level of assurance requested. I got to do audit here. And pick karanna ona. You get my point? Lot of work, lot of procedures. So risk will be reduced. Reasonable high level of assurance will be provided. Audit. Some questions, some areas, students, sometimes what will happen? Examiner will explicitly tell you, examiner explicitly will tell you, examiner කියනවා, client does not expect much of assurance from you. Client expects some amount of assurance. කොමාරි වාගේ signature එක ඕන. Client is expecting some amount of assurance. Some amount of assurance. මොකක්ද? Performing very limited amount of procedures. එහෙම කියනවා. Some engagements are there no ළමයි. සමහර වෙලාවට client is only expecting our signature. Right? He is expecting our signature for not a kind of public information to be given to annual report or something like that for audited financial statements, but for, let's say, interim financial statements to be submitted to a bank for a bank loan. බැංකුවකට loan එකක් ගන්න interim accounts, quarterly accounts, 6 months accounts to getting a loan. Interim accounts, or maybe futuristic assumptions based forecast. Assumptions based forecast are futuristic. So at that time, students, you don't have much of time to do all sorts of 3 months, 2 months amount of audit procedures, no. So what the auditors will do, 1 or 2 procedures, inquiry and analytical procedures will be done. And auditor, since you have done lesser amount of procedures, you can't provide a higher level of assurance. Procedures less means what? Assurance is also limited. So examiner will tell you procedures will be less. Procedures ටිකක් අඩුවෙන් කරන්න කියලා එයාට කියනවා. Pick that. එක pick කරන්න. Pick කරපු ගමන් ඔයාගේ assurance එක මොකද්ද? If tripart relationship and others are there, assurance will be limited assurance. Limited assurance we are providing in a review engagement. Remember that. So review එකක් තමයි ළමයි limited assurance එක අපි කරන්නේ. Inquiry and analytical procedures and very simple amount of other procedures we are doing. ඔළුවට ආවද කතාව? තොරණේ කතාව ඔළුවට ආවද? I'm just asking. මේ දක්වා කියපුවා මොනවාද ප්‍රශ්නක් තියෙනවද? Are there any questions that you got to ask from what we have discussed so far? තේරුණාද? So at that time when the examiner gives you the indication, more procedures to be done, more work to be done, එහෙම කිව්වොත් ළමයි, then what? If tripart relationship is also established, or parties to establish, and there is a client, there is management, there is a practitioner independently, and also there is whom? There is this thing, students, what? Reasonable assurance. But if the examiner tells you limited amount of low level of procedures we are doing, limited assurance, which is review engagement. So two types of reasonable assurance and limited assurance engagements are there, audits and reviews. And remember, Lama, if you just go through bit detail into your theory, audit, you express your opinion very positively. Audit take opinion positively. Financial statements present fairly in all material respects. Financial statements present fairly in all material respects. Or we say, audit, financial statements provided true and fair view, reasonable assurance, audit we provide. But in a limited assurance, we are providing how? Nothing has come to our attention to state that the financial statements do not provide a true and fair view. ඒක negatively කියන්නේ. අර wife දේවල් කියන්නේත් එහෙමනේ ළමයි. මොනවද කියන්නේ? නිකන් review එකත් කරන්නේ එහෙමනේ අපි procedures අඩුවෙන් ළමයි කරන්නේ. We do lesser amount of procedures. So when we are doing lesser amount of procedures, we can't directly say true and fair view. Right? Procedure අඩුවෙන් කරාම in a review, we can't say directly true and fair view. So we indirectly say. කොහොමද? wife කියනවා වගේ. ඉරිදාට අපි ආනෝ අද රැට කඩෙන් කමුද? එතකොට wife මොකද කියන්නේ? නෑ ඕන්නේ නෑ. රැට කඩෙන් කමුද? නෑ ඕන්නේ නෑ. When wife says නෑ ඕන්නේ නෑ, what you have to understand? No මෙයා නෑ ඕන්නේ නෑ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඔයාලට පිස්සුදානේ? දවස් 7ක් විතර උයල උයල කෑම දීලා ඉරිදාටත් මට උයන්න කියලා කියන්නේ. ගිහිල්ලා ගේනවා කඩෙන් කෑම. නෑ ඕන්නේ නෑ කියන එක අපි අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ. එයා ඩිරෙක්ට්ලි ඉන්ඩිරෙක්ට්ලි කිව්වේ මොකද්ද? කඩෙන් ගේන්න කියලා. Similar way in a review engagement, review එකේ මොකද කියන්නේ? At a review, students, we have done very lesser amount of procedures, no? So indirectly we say nothing has come to our attention to state that the financial statements do not provide a true and fair view. අන්න එහෙම. So pick it up, right? So ඒක හරියට pick කරන්න. ඒක පිළිවෙලකට pick කරොත් ළමයි, if you pick it properly, you can provide. So criteria. So Dinush asking a question. So can you explain the criteria? Criteria means against the particular, let's say, standards or whatever, against which we are evaluating the subject matter. එතකොට ඔකට Sri Lanka accounting standards වෙන්න පුළුවන්. COSO framework can be, or maybe IIRC standards, International Integrated Reporting Standards, or GRI framework, whatever, against which we are evaluating this thing, right? So audit and review, we have idea now. Students, sometimes, as I told you, examiner will tell you like this. Client is preparing, let's say, pro forma financial information. Pro forma financial information. Prospective financial information. When the examiner tells you that client is preparing pro forma financial information and assurance needed for it, right? මෙන්න මේක අහගන්න. Assumptions based. හොඳට අහගන්න. මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ අහුවා දෙතුන් පාරක්. Sometimes students in clients' business requirement, clients may requested or asked to provide a prospectus to attract shareholders or bankers to fund. Client ගෙන් අහනවා ළමයි shareholders ලා bankers ලාව ගන්න to get them prepare some forecast, some budgets, pro forma information which are assumptions based. Assumptions based future forecast pro formas lamai, when those are requested, and for those if they require assurance, bankuwakata pennan. So you have a bank, user, you have the client, the responsible party, you have the audit practitioner, the practitioner. Tri-party also established, and they need, client needs some amount of assurance on their projections that they have done in the prospected 5-year forecast, which are based on assumptions. එහෙම ඇදුවොත් ළමයි මොන assurance එකක්ද ඔයා දෙන්නේ? Client needs assurance. At that time, students, on pro forma information, forecasted information based on assumptions, you can't provide reasonable assurance. Reasonable assurance එකක්, high level of assurance you can't provide. Yes, Taruka, at that time, which kind of assurance? Limited assurance දෙන්නේ වෙලාවට ළමයි. Okay, remember that. Remember that. Very important. If the examiner asks you to provide pro forma, assurance on pro forma information. Pro forma information means, students, the financial statements are forecasted based on the outcome of a particular project. Maybe next 3-year financial statements are forecasted based on forecasted figures from adding new factory, the revenue, the cost of new factory, which is yet to produce, which is yet to commence. ඒවා දාලා තමයි හදලා තියෙන්නේ. At that time, students, reasonable assurance you can't provide. Because why? You can't evaluate them now because all are futuristic figures now. So you are providing limited assurance on pro forma forecasted information. You evaluate the assumptions that were created. Remember that. Okay. Therunada? Understood? Any questions so far? On assurance side? Pro forma කියන එක තේරුණා? Forecast, projections. At that time, limited low-level assurance you are providing. And you have to establish criteria, you have to establish report, then evidence, subject matter and tripartite relationship. ඒවා උනොත් විතර assurance දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Any questions? ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? ටික ප්‍රශ්න තිබුණා නෑ වගේ ඉන්නවද? ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? ප්‍රශ්න නැද්ද? And apparently students, we appreciate your kind of enthusiasm, right? Because we know, we appreciate your enthusiasm because we know the weather condition, no? These days, it's a quite heavy rain, right? How about your areas? Hopefully you all are damage free, right? Nee, loku damage එකක් නැහැ කියලා අපි හිතනවා. We are expecting. So that's one. Then the other side, මේකේ තව කතාවක් තියෙනවා ළමයි. Then certain engagements we provide, right? අපි කරන තව engagements වගේක් තියෙනවා. There are certain engagements that the practitioners are doing is that students, where we do, අපි කරන තව engagement එකක්, where we do students, we provide non-assurance services as well. Because of the talent that the chartered accountants has. You guys are all will be talented, no? Very limited species, right? There will be in the market. Chartered accountants are very limited. Very limited amount of species are there. So when we have very limited amount of species, limited amount of කට්ටිය අපිට ඉන්නකොට, when we have students, some non-assurance services also we provide. Sometimes students, our clients, all of a sudden, diabetes, they will come to you and say, sir, partner, mara වැඩේ. Why? My accountant and my finance team has migrated to Canada. And please, I want to finalize my financial statements. Can you send someone to finalize my accounts? Will happen. Right? මගේ accounts ටික finalize කරලා දෙන්නකෝ. So you have ethical issue with regard to self-review threat, but let's say ethical if you are allowed to do that. Students, you are compiling financial information to the client. Client's financial information is compiled, compiling client's financial information, doing financial reporting to the client. You may be doing that. There you are not providing any assurance. No one is expecting a comfort from you. It's that you just compile information on behalf of the client. Compilation engagement. Sometimes financial statement preparation. Sometimes let's say client is to apply for an award. Client is to apply for an award. Award day apply කරන්න යනවා. For that students, client needs during last 1 year, what are the exports that they have done and the remittance received. පහුගිය අවුරුද්දේ කරපු exports මොනවද? ඒවට ලැබිච්ච dollars මොනවද? They are trying to apply for an exports award. So you are asked to compile those export proceeds. Compile. Non-assurance work. Assurance nෑ. Only you are compiling information for that award purpose. No assurance, no report issued, only information is compiled. Compilation in engagements. Sri Lanka Standards on Related Services 4410. Compilation. Get used to the words. මෙච්චර වෙලා අහලා නැත්නම් කොයි හරි ගිහලා තේරුම් නැත්නම් ළමයි, right? If you have done self studies and you didn't understood it, and if you have forgotten it, compilation information, you compile information for a client. Compilation in engagement. That's one. No assurance given. Now, assurance nalamai because criteria, report, evidence, subject matter, tripart relationship, not satisfied. Etika satisfied na. Right? That is not satisfied. On the other side, it amateur. Right? On the other side, you have another thing. Right? Agreed upon procedures. Sri Lanka Standards on Related Services 4,400 agreed upon procedures, the revised standards. Some instances will come, සමහර වෙලාවල් එනවා ළමයි, where client doesn't need any assurance, don't need any report on something, don't need any opinion from us, no limited, no reasonable assurance. But client needs our special investigative techniques that we have. අපි ගාව තියෙන investigative techniques ටික client ඕන. Like what? A massive fraud had happened in the client place. In the client place, there was a massive fraud happened. Maybe storekeeper දීලා වැඩක් ආයි කෙලින්ම million ගානකට වැඩේ දීලා. But client doesn't know how to take it forward for a legal case to be submitted. මේක උසාවියේ නඩුවක් දාන්න පුළුවන් level එකට ගන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා client doesn't know. Client doesn't know how to put it for a legal case. They don't know it. They don't know how to put it for a legal case. So what the client will do? Client will ask you, hey, auditor, Machang, I don't know, Machang, how to investigate this and present that to the legal issue, right? Legal case. Machang, can you please do some investigation, gather evidence, do the investigations, gather evidence, and please give it to my lawyer? Then you say, okay, I will do. Shall we agree on the procedures that we are going to do? Api agree with the procedures that we are going to do. So the client and the management agree the procedures and perform the procedures. Client and the management, client and the practitioner agree on the procedures. Mama karanne menna me tika, I am doing these procedures, right? And I will be unearthing evidence and I will be giving that to you to be presented to the legal case. But I will not give you an opinion. Mama thought opinion adenne. I'm not going to give you an opinion. I'm not going to give you an opinion. That's the next. So students, remember, right? That's called agreed upon procedures, AUP. So in an agreed upon procedure engagement, what will happen? Client will have a specific requirement. So for that specific requirement, client and the practitioner agreed. No third party, no user. Parties dekai lamai, only two parties. No tripart relationship, so no assurance. Practitioner perform his procedures, gather evidence and provide that to the management to make their own conclusion. Agreed upon procedures. So when you are doing agreed upon procedures, students, always the procedures has to be agreed and those procedures has to be clearly written down. Agree vela, procedures lamai, and the report should be confidential report. So auditor has to explicitly say that the report is confidential report, not for public use. Procedures, what they have done should be elaborated. Agreed upon procedures has to be done at that time. Remember. Any questions so far? Then students, some instances will happen where one of your clients is going to acquire another company. Your client is going to acquire another company. Client is going to acquire another company. May client lamai gila tawa company එක ගන්න යනවා. He is going to purchase another company. But what happened? Client is not sure whether the purchase consideration that he is going to pay actually worth for the net assets that he is going to purchase. May ගෙවන ගාන තරන් ළමයි net assets තියනවාද? Are there any net assets to the purchase consideration that is there? Right? අර අපි කාර් එකක් ගන්න ගියාමත් එහෙමනේ. Right? කාර් එකක් ගන්න ගියාමත් එහෙමනේ. Now, hopefully you all will buy your first car or second car, right, within next 1-2 years time. හිතන්න කාර් එකක් ගන්න ගියා. What happened? කීයද මේ කාර් එක? ලක්ෂ 50යි. 50. So you get kind of astounded in the first instance. So හිත ගියා කාර් එකට, right? වාගේ හිත ගියා මොකද වෙන්නේ? You take that car to a garage guy. ගරාජ් එකේ එක්කෙනාට අරන් ගිහලා වෙනවා. මුදලාලි මේ ගරාජ් පාසුන් නැහැ. මම මේකට ලක්ෂ 50ක් ගෙවන්න යනවා. ප්ලීස් පොඩක් බලලා කියන්නකෝ ප්‍රශ්න ලෙඩ තියනවාද මේක 50ක් වටිනවද කියලා. ඒ වගේ කේස් ළමයි. Sometimes your client is going to acquire another company. Client going to acquire another company. But client is not sure whether that other company values that much. So what will happen? Acquirer, remember the word, acquirer goes to audit firm and say, auditor, please on behalf of me investigate this particular company and say whether the particular amount that I am going to pay worth that net assets. Due diligence. Due diligence. Due diligence is where on behalf of an acquirer, acquiree will be evaluated by the practitioner. So acquiree's financial strength, operational strength, IT strength, HR strength, business strategy, all will be evaluated by the practitioner and a kind of findings will be given. No assurance given. Assurance එකක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. We call it as due diligence. Remember? තේරුණාද කතාව? ඕකයි ළමයි assurance කතාව. මහ ලොකු දෙයක් නැහැ. Nothing much. So if I summarize just, right? මම පොඩ්ඩක් මේක summary කරොත්. If I summarize this just a bit, students, the question in the exam I will show you, right? මම පෙන්නන exam question එක. See, examiner's question will be like this. Hope you all can see. This question I got from December 2023 paper. Make a December 2023 paper again gatte. So what's the examiner's question? See. Examiner's question is, select the engagement type. Select the engagement type giving reference to the relevant standard you will perform to provide assurance over the carve-out financial statements for the period ended 30th September 2023, providing reasons for your selection. Select the engagement type. What is the type of engagement you are going to provide with reference to the relevant standard you will perform to provide assurance over the carve-out financial statements for the year ended 30th September 2023. Providing reasons for your selection. Make අපි පොඩ්ඩක් කියවලා shall we test your knowledge whether you understood what we have done. කියපු ටික තේරුණාද කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු ටක් ගාලා කියවලා. So what's the question? Examiner asking what sort of an engagement type you are going to perform. ඔයා perform කරන්න යන engagement type එක මොකද්ද? What's the type of engagement you are going to do? Shall we quickly read? පට ගාලා කියවමු. කියවලා අපි කියන්න මොකද්ද? What sort of engagement type you are going to do? Okay? See. Nelum PLC is an audit client of your firm and you are the audit manager for the audit of NP. So your client is one of your audit clients, so you are the audit manager for that audit. It's a PLC, it's a listed company. The company intends to segregate two of its core businesses, namely property development and manufacturing. So they are going to segregate the business into two separate business units and transfer the property development business to a new company. So they are going to segregate the business lines, transfer property business to a new business line. The intention of the board of directors is to attract new investor for the property development business activities. So the intention is what? Intention to attract a new investor for the property development. The board of directors of NP, the board of directors of NP requested your firm to provide assurance on the carve-out financial statements of the property development business prepared for the period ended 30th September 2023 so that these financial statements could be made available to a potential investor. Students, are they expecting assurance or not? මේක කියවලා මට කියන්න. Are they expecting assurance or not? If they expect assurance, how do you fit that into assurance framework? Are they requesting assurance or not? Is this fitting into assurance framework of Crest? Crest එක ඇතුළට වැටෙනවද නැද්ද? What do you think? හිතන්න බලන්න. Yes, Hirun, Robert. Good, Nishi. Sabit, good. So everybody, are they requesting assurance? Yes. How? The board of directors of NP requested your firm to provide assurance so that carve-out financial statements of property development business prepared for the period ended 30th September 2022 so that these financial statements could be made available to a potential investor. How many parties involved here? Parties kiyak innawada? How many parties? Parties kiyada? Can I have your response in the chat box? Yes. Tri-party fulfilled or not? Yes. Practitioner, the audit firm again තමයි ඉල්ලන්න ළමයි assurance එක. Assurance is requested from the audit firm. Management is their responsible party. Financial statements are presented to whom? To a potential investor. Tri-party relationship is fulfilled. Tri-party relationship fulfilled, students. Tri-party relationship එක fulfilled වෙනවා. Okay. So can you provide assurance or not? Yes. See, මොන assurance එකද දෙන්නේ දැන්? So here what happens? මොකද වෙන්නේ? They are expecting you to provide assurance on a carve-out financial statements. අර business දෙක දෙකට කැඩුවානේ. So one sort of property development business financial statements they are asking. See, the board of directors expects that the auditor expects. හොඳට බලා ගන්න. Board of directors expects that the auditor need not perform detailed testing of these carve-out financial statements when providing assurance on them because the investor would perform due diligence on the historical financial statements. Auditor need not perform detailed testing. Sunil, a member of the audit team, is of the view that the assurance engagement on the carve-out financial statements could be accepted without considering any other matters as it is an existing client of the firm. The property development business of MP comprise large construction projects across Sri Lanka. Based on your cumulative knowledge from the audits you have performed, you are aware that the internal controls and accounting records of NP are maintained poorly. Controls are poorly maintained. Therefore, you believe that carve-out financial statements for the period ended 30th September 2023 are likely to contain material misstatements as well. Material misstatements තියෙන්න පුළුවන් because controls are not there. Students, what sort of assurance they expect from us? Is it a reasonable assurance or is it a limited assurance they expect? Reasonable assurance or limited assurance they expect from us? Can I have a response? People who are joining from live through Zoom, people who join from YouTube, from Facebook, just put your answer. Which assurance? Yes, guys. Good job. දැන් වැඩේ තේරුණානේ ඔයගලන්ට? You understand the situation, no? So say the board of directors expects that the auditor need not perform detailed testing. Detailed testing ඕනේ නැහැ. So detailed testing ඕනේ නැහැ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? What is the assurance? Limited level of assurance. What is the report? ඒකට දෙන report එක මොකක්ද ළමයි? Can I have that as well? What's the report? Review engagement. Review engagement. Not due diligence, Sabit. Due diligence will be done by the acquirer, right? Acquirer due diligence එක කරනවා. It's a review engagement. Review engagement. හරි නේද වැඩේ? ඕකයි කතාව. So limited assurance question එකේ දෙවනි part එක ඒක. Communicate to Sunil the matters need to be considered prior to accepting engagement of assurance. ළමයි, the standard, if you read the standard, standard says These review engagements are also, students, you can't expect as it is. Even though it is a review engagement that you are doing limited amount of procedures, still you have to satisfy with the risk of the client. You have to be satisfied with the client acceptance, client's integrity, acceptance, ඒව ගැන satisfy වෙන්න ඕන ළමයි. You got to be satisfied with the integrity, acceptance, all these things. ඒව ගැන satisfy වෙලා තමයි මේ වැඩේ කරන්න ඕන. Has to be done. So you can't accept this as it is. So client's integrity, internal controls, students' client evaluation, whether you are independent from the client, independence requirements, all ethical requirements, the code of ethics, all has to be satisfied. Okay, done. Assurance prashna thoraganidi. We will go to another assurance question and see. See another question, right? This question from the most recent one. June 2024 paper. ඒකේ කැලලක් බලමු ළමයි අපි අරගෙන. See, part A. Assess the impact of the above scenario. Relate impact of the above scenario relating to debtors provision. Impact of the above scenario relating to debtors provision on the review report to be issued on the interim financial statements of Crest for the quarter ended 31st March 2024. Right? So, impact on the debtors provision on the review report. Impact on the debtors provision on the review report to be issued. But I කියවලා අපි නිකන් බලමු ළමයි මොන වගේ assurance එකක්ද දෙන්න කියන්නේ. See. What sort of opinion you are going to provide? මේක බලලා මට කියන්න මොන වගේද කරන්න කියලා, right? See question 3. Hope you all can see my screen, right? Let me see. Look at it. Hope you can see, right? You can see. Crest PLC manufactures fabric and is listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange. Trust Associates is the statutory auditor of Crest, who also performs review engagements on the interim financial statements of the company. So, it's a statutory auditor and they provide reviews as well. Reviews can manada. What's the assurance? In a review, what sort of assurance we are providing? Limited, low level of assurance. You are the audit manager for the review engagement of the interim financial statements of Crest for the quarter ended 31st March 2024. So, you are the manager who is doing the review for the quarter ended 31st March 2024. Your team has performed the required review engagement procedure, so you are providing limited level of assurance. Right? Then කතාව දන්නවා ටට් ගාලා ඔළුව එනවා. Since we have revised everything in a proper manner. Based on the review procedures performed, හොඳට කියවන්න. You noted that the management of Crest was unable to provide sufficient explanation and evidence for the impairment provision as at 31st March 2024. No individual impairment assessment had been made for a debtor who has refused to make settlements claiming that the fabric supplied was poor quality. No impairment performed for a debtor who is refusing to make the payment. It was assessed that the amount in dispute was 124 million. 124 million debtor is not paying for this quarter. March quarter ke million 124 debtor කෙනෙක් ගෙවන්න බෑ කියනවා. I will not pay because the products you sold me is of poor quality and it is exceeded the materiality set for this engagement. There were no other material misstatements noted during the review. Make a material, meet a vada වෙන මොකුත් issues නැහැ. Trust Associates had issued unqualified audit report on the annual financial statements 31st March to December 2023. Students, what sort of a review What sort of a review conclusion you provide here? Make a review conclusion. What sort of review conclusion you are providing? Can I have your answer in chat box? What sort of a review conclusion? Modified or unmodified? Can I have a response? Modified or unmodified? If it is modified, qualified, disclaimer, adverse. Can I have your answers? What? Good job, guys. Qualified opinion. Why? It's a qualified conclusion. If a misstatement is material. Why? Sri Lanka accounting standards say, students, for financial assets, you have to test them for impairment. Receivables, right? So you got to test it for impairment, 124 million, above the materiality level. Impairment should be tested. If you test it for impairment, students, definitely. Students, is the receivables overstated or understated? What's your response? Audit opinion pathat balamuko. Is the receivables are overstated or understated? What's your conclusion? Overstated or understated? Receivables. Receivables overstated or understated? What do you say? Can I have a response? Receivables overstated in this scenario or understated? Yes, receivables are overstated. Ekat examiner kiyanna ona. In your answer, you have to say receivables are overstated, provisions are understated. ඒ කතාවත් කියන්න ඕන. Overstated, understated කියලා. Then qualified conclusion. In an audit, its opinion, review its conclusion. Audit take a opinion, review a conclusion. Qualified conclusion you are providing. Okay, right? Done. So students, that's the basic question that you will get in your exam. So remember, right? Remember everybody. So first part we can conclude. Remember, when the examiner gives you, if we prepare a summary, when the examiner asks you to determine a particular engagement, සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේක එන්නේ question number 3 or 4, 3, 4, 5 ඒකෙන් එකක් එන්නේ question 3, 4 or 5, either of those. One question will be examiner asking, what is the type of engagement you are going to do? So evaluate the given information, put that into Crest framework. See whether there is a particular criteria against which subject matter evaluated. See whether there is a report needed. If the examiner says there is assurance needed. Then evidence gathered. Then tripart relationship, see whether there is a tripart relationship which is visible. Visible tripart relationship innawada kiyala balanna. If Crest is fulfilled, you go ahead with assurance. If Crest is not fulfilled, you go ahead with non-assurance. Assurance yanawa nan, see whether examiner gives you hints about more procedures, lesser procedures. Oka balla reasonable assurance or limited assurance, audit or review determine karan. Remember, amataka karanne epa. If you determine that there is no assurance needed, okay, assurance epa, assurance එකක් අවශ්‍ය නැහැ කිව්ව ගමන් ළමයි බලන්නේ ඒක agreed upon procedures ද කියලා. See whether it is agreed upon procedures. Where two parties involved, the management and the practitioner, where you have to evaluate it and provide your evidence. Or just compile information or due diligence or tika balan, right? First, put it into assurance framework, whether you can provide assurance or not. If it is assurance, reasonable or limited. Then students, non-assurance, agreed upon procedures, due diligence and compilations. Hopefully, things will be okay for you. Understood? Our standards just go through. Okay, give me a moment, students, before we move on to quality management. See, the next contentious area for our students is that Sri Lanka standards on quality management, SLSQM1 and SLSQM2. This is the area where our people again gets confused. ඉතින් ළමයි මේකත් කතා කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ. Marks, if you take out of 10, average will be about 2. Mark my words, huh? Unfortunate, right? Out of 10 marks, our, I would say, average marks is only 2. 10ක් කරොත් ලකුණු 2යි average marks. 2 out of 10. Then problem. 10න් 2යි. බෑනේ. එහෙනම් මෙම හදාගමු එකයි. අර like the earlier question, let's develop an answering strategy. Students, two standards are there. Good old days we call it quality, Sri Lanka standards on quality control 1, Sri Lanka standards on quality control 2. Standards dekai. Right? Now Sri Lanka standards on quality management 1, quality management for the firms that performs assurance and other related services. So quality at firm level, quality at engagement level. What is this audit quality? Any idea ළමයි? මොකද්ද මේ audit quality කියන්නේ? What's audit quality? What do you think? Audit quality කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? How does something become quality? Students, how does something will become quality? They are quality වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? Can I have your response? How does something to become quality? What's your response? How does something becomes quality? They are quality වෙන්නේ මොනවා වුණොත්ද? You say, Hirun, ability to rely on them, completeness should be there. කොහොමද quality වෙන්නේ? How do you say something is quality? Something will become quality, a product or service become quality if it fits a standard. Agree? Product or service become quality if it fits a standard. Standard එක අනුව වුණොත් තමයි quality. And also, what is then audit quality? Audit quality is also like that. Very good, Robert. Good scene, right? Janit, right? Audit becomes quality if two things satisfied. Before we move on to SLSQM1, SLSQC1 and SLSQC2, remember what's audit quality. Audits becomes quality if that fulfills two things. If the audit confirms with relevant professional and legal standards, if the auditor confirms with professional, ethical, legal standards, and the opinion given by the auditor is appropriate in the circumstances, we say audit is quality. Hope you understand what I said. Audit becomes quality when the auditor comply with the relevant professional, ethical standards. So at a time when the auditor complies with the accounting standards and auditing standards as well as code of ethics, audit becomes quality. As well as whatever the opinion that you provide is appropriate in the circumstance. The opinion given by the auditor is appropriate in the circumstance. දීපු opinion එක අදාළ ස්ථානයට ගැලපෙනවා. Whatever the opinion given by the auditor is relevant to the given scenario. So at a time when the financial statements are materially misstated, we said qualified opinion. At a time when the financial statements are free from material misstatements, unmodified opinion. So remember, right? Audit becomes quality when audit complies with the relevant professional, ethical, legal standards, as well as at a time, audit becomes quality at a time when the auditor's opinion is appropriate in the circumstances. Given opinion is appropriate in the given situation. Opinion එක හරියට අදාළ විදිහට දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වල ළමයි audit එක quality. Okay, got it? Remember, standards අනුව කරලා opinion එක අදාළ විදිහට දුන්නා නම් quality. Right. So how do you achieve this quality? So what are you going to do to achieve this quality? මේ quality එක ගන්න ඔයා මොනවද කරන්නේ? How you are going to manage your quality? Students, quality has to be managed at two levels. Quality got to be managed at two levels. You have to manage quality at the overall firm level quality management. Sorry. You got to manage your quality at the firm level. Firm එක quality වෙන්න ඕන ළමයි. And also you got to manage your quality at the engagement level as well. So we say manage your audit quality in the firm level, manage your audit quality at the engagement level. Firm level quality management and engagement level quality management. Firm level quality management and engagement level quality management. You got to do that. So how do you manage your firm level audit quality? Audit firm එකේ කොහොමද ළමයි audit quality manage කරන්නේ? Very important. Right? So to manage audit quality at the firm level, very important. The firm needs to have a proper risk assessment process ළමයි. Because in order now, we all know, again and again I'm stressing this fact එක මම හැම වෙලෙම stress කරන්නේ. I'm stressing this fact to get it into your mind, the blood and the DNA. What's that? Audit to become quality, auditor has to comply with the relevant professional, ethical and legal standards, as well as the opinion or conclusion given by the auditor has to be appropriate in the given circumstance. If those two are satisfied, we say audit is quality. ඒ දෙක satisfy නම් audit එක quality ළමයි. Okay, got it now? So in order to do that, Sri Lanka Standards on Quality Management 1, good old days we call it SLS QC1, Sri Lanka Standards on Quality Control said audit firm level quality maintenance. Firm level එකේ කොහොමද? Audit firm එකේ කොහොමද quality maintain කරන්නේ? First one, the firm needs to have a proper risk assessment process. Audit firm should have a risk assessment process. Students, we are now doing risk-based audits. Based on the client's audit risk, our audit approach will be different. Agree? More the risk, more the procedures we are doing. So the firm needs to have a risk assessment procedures. So whoever the clients who are coming in, proper risk assessment process has to be there. Governance and leadership, very important. The firm's senior partner, the president partner, the top senior partner of the firm should stress about quality. Top partner, most senior partner should speak about audit quality. Governance, top level, overall level, how do they maintain quality? And the leadership speaks about quality. Then relevant ethical requirements has to be satisfied, like independence, like maintenance of confidentiality, relevant ethical requirements has to be satisfied. Acceptance and continuance of client relationships and specific engagements. Client engagement, client acceptance procedure, as I told you, we should accept clients whom we can do independent work. So acceptance and continuance of client work. Engagement performance, how do we perform our engagements? So direction, supervision, review, consultation. We have to provide our audit scope to our staff members. Direction, direct them, develop audit programs, develop audit manuals, programs hadala kattiyawa direct karanna. Direction. Have a proper direction on the team members. When I'm reading, මේක ළමයි මම කියවනකොට ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියා ගන්න. And also when the recording of this is uploaded to YouTube and all, just go through, right? So very important, direction has to be given to the audit team. Audit team එකට direction එකක් දෙන්න ඕන. Audit manuals has to be prepared, audit programs has to be developed, right? Procedure manuals has to be there. Direct your team. This is what you got to do. මේක කරන්න එපා. Direct your team. Direction. Then supervise them. What they are doing, are they achieving the target, are they achieving the objectives? Supervise these people. Supervision. Then students, review. Whatever the work they have done, you have to review under engagement performance. Review. And finally, consultation. If they don't know something, educate them, give them knowledge. Consultation. Consultation from within the firm and outside the firm. Consultation. So engagement performance, direction, supervision, review and consultation. Direction, supervision, review and consultation. Then relevant resources. Provide resources to engagement team like staff. Without staff, students, you can't work. Staff, right? Necessary laptops, the audit software and things like that. Resources has to be given. Information and communication and the monitoring and the remediation process. So, මෙන්න මේ point from A to H. In order to maintain quality at the engagement level, you need to have. Have a quick read of it. පටස් කාලා බලන්න ළමයි. Whether you understand it. See whether you got it. Okay, so the firm's risk assessment process has to be there online properly. So remember, when examiner will build up a context, right? මෙයා context එකක් හදාගෙන එනවා, right? This audit firm, this problem is there. The firm is just sending people as it is. No assessment of risk. කියපු ගමන් පටස්. Risk assessment process, you need to have improvements. And also the firm will say the top senior partner or maybe the most senior partner doesn't have any idea of quality and all patas, students, governance and leadership. You got to say like that. You getting my point? Then firm will say there are audit team members whom having independence issues with the client. Some have family interest in the client place. Some have invested in the clients. Patas lamai, relevant ethical requirements and acceptance of engagement team. And then engagement performance lamai, direction, supervision, review, consultation. හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න. ඕන ලියා ගන්න. Direction, supervision, review and consultation. Direction, supervision, review and consultation. Direction means guide your team members by giving the necessary procedure manuals, audit programs, direct them. Supervision means the work done by them, whether they have achieved the deadlines, whether they have achieved audit objectives, supervise them. Then Review work done by them, review it, because you need to evaluate whether conclusions they have achieved is based on the given evidence. Conclusions and opinions are based on the evidence. Review it. Conclusions based on the evidence කියලා බලන්න එක review කළා. And consultation. If you don't know something, don't be like බක පඬිතයා. Consultation is that. If you don't know something, don't be බක පඬිත. What is බක පඬිත? ඔක්කොම දන්නෝ වගේ ඉන්න එපා. If you don't know something, get consultation, knowledge from within the firm, from a technical partner or from outside the firm, maybe from CS Sri Lanka, get the knowledge into the audit. Direction, supervision, review and consultation. Have an idea. Firm has to be adequately resourced and information and communication has to be flown, and the monitoring and remediation process has to be also there. Done? So we just go through these. So the firms should have a robust governance structure where leadership of the firm, leadership of the firm demonstrate a commitment to quality through its culture. Quality is a culture, right? If locals are doing, senior partners and they are stressing the fact of quality to others, right? May audit objectives have to be achieved, right? Without that, don't fill up your working papers, right? So objectives, conclusions should be backed by evidence. Nikang working paper පුරවන්ගෙන් දෙපා. Don't keep integrity issues with us, right? So if you have any independence issue, disclose it. Likewise. So commitment to quality by top of the firm. Governance. The firm's role in serving public interest by consistently performing quality engagement. Consistently, you have to evaluate quality. So that's why audit firms are maintaining quality review partners. Firm maintains quality review partner because of that. Firm එකක් ළමයි quality review partner කෙනෙක් maintain කරන්නේ ඒකට. Okay. Then firm's role in serving public interest by constantly performing quality engagements. The importance of quality of the firm's strategic decisions and actions, including those related to firm's financial and operating priorities. So quality is pivotal. You take quality very seriously. You take audit quality very seriously. Audit quality එක හොඳ seriously ඔයා ගන්න ළමයි. And the roles, responsibilities and accountability of leadership, leadership qualifications and undertaking performance evaluation and leadership annually. So audit firms leadership continuously evaluate its performance. So that's why quality is reviewed adequately. So this 8 steps of quality management at the firm level. 8 steps of firm level quality management you got to go through. මේ 8 හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න ළමයි answer හදද්දි. So risk based quality management approach has to be there. I just will read them for you. Establish quality objectives. Firms need to establish the governance. The most senior partner, we call it president partner, has to set audit quality objectives. SLSQM1 prescribes outcome-based quality objectives in the components. Firm should set quality objectives, identify and assess what are the risks that you will have. What are the risks that you will have? Sometimes students, staff continuously rotating, HR issues. Then design and implement responses to achieve your quality issues. So resources has to be there, students, for a firm. So the standards say the firm needs to have human capital, firm needs to have technological resources and intellectual resources. Firm has to have human, technological and intellectual resources to run. So firm has to monitor their quality activities, evaluate quality issues, its findings, Then Sri Lanka Standards on Quality Management 2 discuss the next standard, SLSQM 2, discuss about engagement level quality. Now, 8 main points are discussed in firm level quality control. How you are establishing quality at the firm. SLSQM 2 discuss about engagement level quality. How you are maintain engagement level quality for each audit. Say, John Keel's audit, how do you maintain quality? For SLT audit, how do you maintain quality? For let's say Sampath Bank audit, how do you maintain quality at engagement level? SLSQM 2 discuss about that. So, since the engagement quality review is a specified response designed and implemented by the firm to address quality risk, Sri Lanka Standards on Quality Management 1, Quality Management for the firm, blah, blah, blah. The performance of an engagement quality review is undertaken at the engagement level by engagement quality reviewer. For each critical engagement, appoint a different quality reviewer. Independent quality reviewer has to be there for engagement level quality review. Engagement level එකේ තමයි quality issue එකක් ආවොත් ඔයාට engagement quality control reviewer කෙනෙක් ඉන්න ඕන. Right? Done. So he has to be highly competent individual. So see, SLSQM 2 discuss about now firm level students. Sri Lanka quality management standard number 1 say no, firm level quality has to be maintained by president, topmost partner at the governance level. Engagement level quality has to be maintained by the relevant engagement partner of that audit. A audit take engagement partner තමයි ළමයි engagement level quality has to be maintained. So engagement partner is responsible for managing and achieving quality at the engagement level. So John Keel's audit, engagement partner has to maintain quality at the John Keel's audit. Engagement partner is responsible for determining the nature, timing and extent of direction, supervision and review in light of engagement circumstances. Engagement partner shall be satisfied that involvement has been sufficient, blah, blah, blah. Right? So, some definitions are there. So, throughout the audit, you got to maintain professional skepticism as well as necessary resources also has to be maintained. So, from the previous standard students, I will be discussing some firm level maintenance of quality. Students, firm level when you are maintaining quality, it's very important you maintain the human resource of the firm. Most of the questions that the examiner tests from you, he discussed about human resource aspect of the firm. In many of his questions, he will say staff is rotating, staff is leaving, staff is demoralized. In firms, right? Many questions are like that. Staff is leaving, right? Staff is about to leave. So, to maintain audit quality at the firm level, human resource management has to be really, really important. So, if the examiner speaks about, let's say, people leaving, people not satisfied, in that case, you need to identify it's a human resource issues at the entire firm level. So, recruitment, there has to be performance evaluation. If you reward someone, if you give him salary, it's based on performance evaluation. Performance evaluation method. What is performance evaluation? Evaluate the person's performance. Manusyage performance එක බලලා තමයි මේක කරන්න ඕන. Performance evaluation. Capability development. නිකන් ඉන්න බෑ. People has to be trained. Capability has to be developed for you to have firm level quality control capabilities, competence development, career development. People nowadays, students don't like to be bogged down in one place, in audit firms even. So career development has to be given. මල්ලිවා මේම කරලා chartered qualified වෙච්ච ගමන් you will become a manager. Kind of career path has to be shown. Sometimes some people will not be motivated from, some people may not be motivated from ළමයි මේ from the salary only. Some people need career advancement. අවුරුදු දෙකකට සැරයක් විතර පොඩි bonus මොනවාද, I would say promotion has to be there. Okay. Then career development, promotion, compensation, how you are paying them. Compensation always should be linked to performance evaluation. Compensation, the estimation of personal needs, how you are going to estimate the personal needs as well. Done. So human resource management has to be done accordingly. Human resource management. So in the firm level, you need to manage the human resource in the firm. And also students, when you are sending people to engagements, in order to maintain quality, key members has to be selected. So well experienced staff, there has to be mix. When you are sending people for the audited ministry has to be experienced staff as well as trainees who should be there. So a mix of people has to be there. So assign teams accordingly. Mix of experienced as well as new staff has to be there. Experience with new staff mix එකක් ඉන්න ඕන. So key members of client staff and those charged with governance should know your team. ඔයාගේ team එක කවුද කියලා හැමෝම දැනගන්න ඕන. So assignment of team. Then this one I spoke to you, engagement performance, direction, consultation, supervision, resolution of disputes and review. When you are doing the audit, direction, supervision, review, consultation, engagement performance has to be done like this. So has to be given the direction to the team by the audit team. So audit programs, audit manuals has to be developed, direction, engagement performance, consultation, things you don't know within the firm and outside, you should be able to get information, consultation, proper supervision has to be there, dispute resolution and review of work has to be there. Very important. Right. So hot review and cold review may be done, right? We have discussed this in our theory class as well, but for people who are new to us, students, hot review and cold review has to be done. So hot review means an independent reviewer to ensure quality prior to engagement partner sign the audit report, he sign off. So independent quality reviewer signs off prior to engagement partner signs off. Then cold review means after engagement partner signs, quality review is done. Hot review and cold review has to be done. Great. Students, then quality control reviews should review nature, timing and extent of work done, eligibility, may review කරන්න ඕන ළමයි මොනවද කරපු procedures, the nature, timing and extent of procedures done. Reviewer has to review. මූ ඇති වෙන්න procedures කළාද, nature, timing and extent of procedures done. Whether this is eligible, the opinion is adequate, whether appropriate documentation has been done, audit has been done, but file එකේ මුකුත් නැහැ. No working papers filled. So documentation. For listed companies, additional quality review also should be done. Listed now. Documents බලන්න ඕන ළමයි, whether these conclusions are adequate, you have to evaluate. For a listed company, some additional data also needed. Listed company ke additional data illana monada. The engagement team's evaluations of firm independence. If it is a listed company, quality reviewer has to review whether audit team is independent or not. Quality reviewer has to evaluate for this listed company audit, is this engagement team independent or not? That independence review has also been done. Significant risk identified, as I told you, risk assessment has to be done. Significant risk identified, judgments are appropriate in the given circumstances, appropriate consultations have been made, proper communications has been done. These quality review has to be done. Then proper monitoring has to be done. Quality policies has to be monitored, relevant, whether the quality policies are operating effectively, adequate, complied with, මේවා comply වුණාද කියලාත් බලන්න ඕන. So firm level as well as individual audit level, quality control has to be, quality management has to be there. So finally students, as the day's work, right, so almost 10:15. As the day's work students, finally examiner's question will be in quality management will be, he will give you a scenario. එයා ඔයාට scenario එකක් දෙයි. He will give you a scenario. So based on that scenario, examiner will be asking, hey, what are the quality defects identified here? Yeah, ප්‍රශ්නයක් නේ බලමු. See, what are the quality defects identified here? මේකේ තියෙන quality defects මොනවාද? What are the quality control mechanisms that are there? Examiner may ask you, what are the things that you can do to improve audit quality? ඔන්නෝම ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි ඔයගෙන් අහන්න ළමයි. See, this question is June 2024 question. June 2024 question එක. Requirement part A, Roman number 1, select 5 controls from the above scenario. මේ scenario එකේ quality controls 5ක්. Select 5 quality controls from the above scenario. So you have to identify whether there are any consultations are there, direction, supervision, review, are those there. Identifying the corresponding elements of the system of quality controls as per Sri Lanka standards on quality management 1. Whether it is, let's say, risk assessment, whether it is engagement performance, whether it is, let's say, governance, whether it is human resource management, or point attack අපි කිව්වේ. අන්න ඒකට අදාළ what is the area of quality management that is there. Part B, outline 5 actions that MA, maybe audit firm, should take to strengthen quality controls to meet SLSQM1 requirements at the firm level. So what are the actions you can take? ඔන්න ප්‍රශ්නේ. Easy as sunlight. So select 5 quality control items, link it to corresponding quality matters. So එහෙම කිව්ව ගමන් ළමයි ඒක link කරන්න ඕනවා මේකට. This one, right? So is it relevant to risk assessment, governance and leadership, ethical requirements? You got to identify that. And 5 actions to improve your quality. So question will be like that, right? So be prepared. So these, what I wanted to inculcate in you in today's session is that sometimes people who done the exam know this may be a challenging area for you if you have not done the studies properly. So today we wanted to give you the support, both Infinity as well as Big Four team, is to bridge the knowledge gap with regard to these two. Right? මේ දෙකට අදාළව knowledge gap එක bridge කරන්න තමයි අපිට ඕන උනේ both assurance engagement and quality management in a most simplest manner which you can understand. Since students, myself, I have the both audit firm experience as well as commercial sector experience, because many of the students are coming from both the sectors. Audit firm වැඩ කරන ළමයිත් ඉන්නවා. Many students are there who are from the commercial sector. So people who have the kind of combination of these two sectors knowledge, audit sector and commercial sector, can combine and give a perfect answer for your questions that the examiner is asking. That's why we can teach you things in a easy manner, right? Rather than kind of audit firm or maybe commercial sector only kind of experience. That's the kind of support we are giving, right? So Janit Taruk asking, sir, what are your predictions on this paper? Last time quality management was checked. So in this time, ethics can come. No, ethics and quality management both will come, Janit. Be prepared for it, right? Dekama now. Because last time also ethics also tested. So may dekama test now. Be prepared. So prediction is that towards the exam, I will be making the predictions. So your exam is also approaching. There are another challenging areas, students, which I think students need support, like internal audit, audit reporting, digitalization, risk assessment wage areas tikuth thiyena. Would you prefer further another one or sessions like this for your exam? What do you think? Like preparation for the exam, right? Would you prefer that? So I will carve out some time from my schedule, students, because I will try to find some time for my schedule. So we will let you know the timings as well, right? Mama timing kiyanna, right? And I encourage all of you to participate to CA Sri Lanka mock exam as well, which was postponed, right? CA Sri Lanka mock exam meke. And also students, we are also conducting a mock exam. We will let you know that, right? Apit mock exam karna, anyone can participate. I will let you know that. So because of the popular demand, we have started this, and based on the kind of overwhelming demand, I will try to fix another 1 or 2 sessions, right? Like this, open for all, right? Because students, it's a CSR activity that we are doing. We know the pain of our students, right? So let's try to do another 1 or 2 sessions as well. Okay, and one final reminder to all of you. Students, now maybe 5 to 6 hours of daily studies you got to do, right? Then paya pahak ko hayak daily studies ogala karanna on, right? You got to do. So remember to do that when you are getting ready for the exam. Okay, exam ready wenakota then dawasata paya pahak hayak study karanna on. Today itself these 2 areas start studying for the exam. And students, keep yourself in touch with us. Infinite team as well as Big 4 team will inform you on our further proceedings as well, right? So everybody, thanks for your participation even in a kind of a very rainy day, okay? And trusting us, you know that if we do something that's it itself is quality, right? So thanks for your participation and good night to all of you, and I wish you all the best. Let's meet up very soon with another program as well. Okay, good luck to you. Keep in touch. Thank you.